Welcome to something short and sweet in the Parsha. This week, Parshas Eikev. I'd like to share with you an idea today, which I believe is revolutionizing. It could change one's entire spiritual level. Second paragraph of Kriya Shema, V'hoyam Shema Tishmu al Mitzvosai, HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us that should we as a nation fulfill his word, so then we'll have material prosperity. Vasafta deganecha, the pasuk says, you will go ahead and you'll gather your crops. On those words, the Gemara Brachas, Lamed Hey Amud Beis, teaches, Vasafta deganecha matalmud lomar. What does this pasuk come to teach? Lefi shene'emar lo yamush sefer haTorah hazeh mipicha. The pasuk at the beginning of the book of Yehoshua says that the Torah should never leave our mouth. Yachol, devar of kiksavan. So one might think that indeed one has to learn 24/7 without interruption, no diversions. Talmud Lomar Asafta Deganech. There is room for a livelihood, for earning a livelihood. Hanig bahem minach derech eretz. Live in the natural world. Conduct yourself in the natural way. Go out and earn a living. Divrei Rabbi Yishmael. This is the opinion of Rabbi Yishmael. Reb Shimon ben Yochai Omer. Reb Shimon ben Yochai says, are you kidding? Hanig bahem minach derech eretz. Go out and earn a living, work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Efshar adam chorish b'shas charisha, v'zoreya b'shas zoriya, v'kotzer b'shas ketzir, v'dash b'shas disha. Is a person going to go out and sow when he needs to, and plant when he needs to, and harvest when he needs to, and winnow when he needs to? Torah matiyah elav. When is there going to be a time to learn? So forget about it. That's not possible. You can't do it. And therefore, the Gemara says Reb Shimon bar Yochai, that when Klal Yisrael is doing Ritzono Shel Makom, the will of God, they're not going to have to go out and earn a livelihood. It'll be taken care of for them. And then there's a discussion, back and forth. And one of the last things the Gemara says, quotes Rava, a later authority, who told his students, B'matusa mimcha, I implore you, I beg of you, in the days of Nisan and in the days of Tisha, lo techsu kamoi. These 2 months, I don't want to see you in the base medrash in the study hall. So that the rest of the year, you'll be able to learn uninterrupted. When one learns this Gemara, one seems to think that earning a livelihood is something which is a concession to reality. Hanig behen mimik derech eretz is the opinion of Rabbi Yishmael. You have to do it because otherwise, how are you going to live? And therefore, putting aside for the moment how we come out and the tension between these two opinions, the opinion of live life in the natural way, or what's going to be with the Torah, there's great tension in halacha, and there's great discussion about this throughout the ages. But leaving that aside for a moment, it would seem that even those that say, no, you have to earn a livelihood, it seems to be a concession to reality. It's something that nebuch, we have to do, but spiritual value, I don't know. The Sefer Chovos Halabavos, a book of great Jewish thought, a primary source, says that assumption is not true. The Chovos Halabavos says, and I quote, "V'yechavin b'tirdas libo v'gufo b'sibos min hasibos v'asivuv eleha." When one is engaged in worldly affairs, he should have in mind to engage in the command of God, who demands that we engage in worldly affairs. Kavodas Adama, like working the ground, harvesting, plowing. As the pasuk says, God put man in the Garden of Eden in order to work it and in order to guard it. And that was the Garden of Eden. And that for the Chovas HaLevavos is the model. We are here on our earth, la'avdo u'l'shomra. And therefore, everything that we do to earn a livelihood, to build a community, to build a society, to bring about the next generation, it's a mitzvah, says the Chovas HaLevavos. And he adds, when we do these mitzvos, we should have in mind that we're doing a mitzvah. We should have kavanah for the mitzvah. And that's a very important thing. Because the halacha is that mitzvah srichas kavanah. When a person does a mitzvah, in order to fulfill the mitzvah, they need to have in mind that they're doing a mitzvah. If somebody on Sukkot would pick up a lulav and esrog to teach another person how to wave the lulav and esrog, and his intention is to teach, his intention is not to do the mitzvah, he does not fulfill the mitzvah. Now, if a person goes to shul with his lulav and esrog, and it's halal time, and he takes the lulav and esrog and he starts waving it, so he's has in mind, even it might not be specifically have in mind, I am now fulfilling the mitzvah, but that's what he's doing, so fulfilling the mitzvah. But if he has in mind to teach, he does not fulfill the mitzvah. Hence, if a person would get on the bus to go to Manhattan, to go to work, and he doesn't think, I'm fulfilling the mitzvah, he thinks I'm going to provide a livelihood for my family, or I'm going to make a lot of money, but he doesn't have in mind that he's going to do a mitzvah, mitzvah srichas kavanah. He has not fulfilled the mitzvah. So you might argue, okay, so he doesn't have so many mitzvahs on his great scorecard in heaven. It's a lot more than that. I want to share with you an amazing meshachach from Meir Simcha of Devinsk on the Chet of Adam HaRishon, on the sin of Adam, points out something that I think most miss in the reading of the Torah. What was the first commandment given to Adam HaRishon? So I think if we go out and take a poll, most people would say the commandment was one commandment, not to eat from the Eitz Hadas, not to eat from the tree of knowledge. Says the Meshech Chochmah. Go back and read the pasuk. The verse begins, Mikol ha'etz, from all the trees, achol tochel, you should eat. But from that tree, don't eat that tree. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was telling Adam HaRishon, I want you to partake in all the trees. I want you to find nourishment in those trees. I want you to enjoy those trees. Those trees are the subject of a positive mitzvah. To eat those trees is to fulfill a mitzvah. Just that tree don't eat. The Meshech Chochmah explains that Adam HaRishon didn't understand that. And therefore, yes, he did eat those trees. But mitzvah srichas kavanah, he had no intention for the mitzvah that Hashem, the commandment that Hashem had given him. And therefore, he didn't fulfill the mitzvah. And here's the upshot. Meshech Chochmah argues that if he would have understood that it was a mitzvah, and he would have had kavanah for the mitzvah of eating those trees, when he thought to eat from the Eitz Hadas, he would have been much spiritually, much stronger. And the chances are he would not have eaten from the Eitz Hadas. And hence, the fellow who hops on the bus to Manhattan, 6 o'clock in the morning, to earn a livelihood, if he has in mind, I'm going to fulfill the mitzvahs Hashem. The next 8 or 10 hours is going to be engaged in a mitzvah. The whole activity is the activity of a mitzvah. And this gentleman, day in, day out, is going on the bus and he's fulfilling the mitzvahs Hashem. And he's growing spiritually. And mitzvah goreres mitzvah. One mitzvah spawns another mitzvah. So yes, Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam. The study of Torah is an incredible mitzvah. It has great power to have a person develop and grow. But earning a parnasa is also a mitzvah. And it needs to be appreciated as that. And if we have kavanah for that mitzvah, it will also inspire us. It'll also develop us. It'll also bring us closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great Shabbos.